if you go to the street being homeless with no issues, you'll leave the street with issues.
You can't just paint all homeless people with the same colored brush. We are all individuals. We all have individual separate needs, and some of us are special needs.
Last week, I dove headfirst into the firestorm surrounding the low barrier shelter expansion at 310 Division Street run by Transition House. On June 17th, I was at the Cobourg Town Hall where residents unleashed nearly 5 hours of raw frustration, crime, violence, and disorder spilling from this shelter onto the surrounding streets. Then the very next morning, I sat through another nearly 5 hours of Northumberland County's council meeting, which is the upper tier municipality responsible for things like social service delivery and, for instance, managing shelter services, even though it's Cobourg residents dealing with the fallout. Council finally saw the chaos with their own eyes. And so they have decided to stop the 24/7 warming and cooling room starting July the 4th. And they're also rethinking the whole shelter model, aiming for a higher barrier, focusing on those considered low to moderate acuity, not those with complex health issues, active addictions, or criminal ties. But they haven't defined what that really means just yet. A report is due July 30th, so stay tuned. Now, while I was at the council meeting, I met Dave and Laura, a homeless couple living on the streets with their 2 dogs. They opened up about their struggles with Transition House's services. Check out what they had to say. Your delegation this morning at the county council meeting really shocked me as you struggle obviously with homelessness and some experiences with the low barrier shelter that is at 310 Division Street where operations have recently been expanded. What has your experience been at 310 so far?
My experience at 310 is one that I'll never repeat. I won't go back to 310. When at the shelter, they allowing dogs, for example. Your dogs are allowed there, but they are stuck in a little 2x3 foot kennel the whole time you're in the building. You are supposed to be looking for housing, etc., but they're harassing you every 2 seconds to take your dogs outside. They have set everything up in such a way that you can't access the services that are coming in. They have them all set on one day, and they've arranged that they have a mandatory house meeting for 310 right at the time when you can go and attend legal. Prevent anyone from having a chance to deal with situations and their rights. The situation there is such that, honestly, people are using in the building. I didn't get caught using, thank gosh, because of the very fact that I used in my bathroom, as every other resident does. It's all throughout the building. The sickening sweet smell that people keep saying is cocaine, that's fentanyl. You walk past someone with that an hour later, you can drop on the street.
Do you think that Transition House, as the registered charity that's been tasked with delivering these shelter services, is the appropriate provider for those things?
No. Even speaking with Ike, Michelle, and Mary, we have been told last night, for example...
And sorry, just to be clear, those are the executive director, the managers, and
Yes.
the kind of higher ups, so to speak.
It's the 3 that run the building. Transition, 310, whatever they want to call it now. And Ike last night said he wants a one-stop shop, a model that fits everyone. Not possible. Michelle and Mary has no interpersonal skills or ability to relate with anyone at all there. Michelle's supposed to be the gooey, squishy one. But even then, they are not running it right. To get donors for them, they parade the donors, potential donors through to see the homeless at Transition House or 310. What happened to our anonymity? No one's supposed to know anything about us or anything.
Right down the toilet.
And then they lie about the services that were offered. Laundry service 24/7. No, laundry service ends at 10 o'clock every night, starts again at 8 a.m. the next morning. not 24/7. So there's a limited amount. The favoritism, they all hated me to begin with because in order to get in there, I had to do an interview while stuck in the freezing cold by Salvation Army. And I was told to call back within 15 minutes to find out all the qualifications needed to get the dogs in there, to get that dealt with. This was on a Thursday. I called from our phone. I called from Watton Employment Agency's phone. 310 blocked our calls. We even had staff from Watton call and got the same thing, so that they knew it wasn't just us. And they did till the snowstorm was over, and we had got to spend another 5 days outside for no reason.
Do you have anything to add to the experience at 310 and why you've opted not to return there?
Well, I got restricted for 14 days because I had an emotional outburst due to stress, and I am autistic. And in order to be able to go back upstairs with her and the dogs, I had to have a meeting with Ike, Michelle, and Miri. And the first thing that Ike said to me was, they don't care about people's mental health issues. They don't care about the physical health issues. If it doesn't all fit nicely on paper, we don't want it here. I'm like, well, that is really stupid for an agency that's supposed to be trying to help people on an individual level. Like I said in my delegation this morning, you can't just paint all homeless people with the same colored brush. We are all individuals. We all have individual separate needs, and some of us are special needs. And those of us who are special needs have varying special needs, not just all the same thing. And anybody who knows anything at all about autism knows that two autistic people don't have the same needs. Mm-hmm. It's the same with everybody. We are individuals. I mean, I remember back in the day at the help center and other places, there used to be this card that said Q-tip, and then it said, quit taking it personally. Really? Well, we're not numbers anymore, and now it is time that we need to take it personally. Otherwise, we're going to get nowhere.
How do you respond to the community concerns that were absolutely scathing in that town hall last night?
They were, and the positioning of some of the videos that they produced made things look way worse than they were in person. Some of them were absolutely horrible, but at the same time, these incidents are occurring after they're not allowed to sleep in the hub.
Right.
What do you think you go to a warming room for? To be warm and get some sleep, not hit psychosis. You're seeing all these people go off because they're not getting the right food, they're not getting the right sleep, and they get kicked out at the drop of a hat for the stupidest reasons. Some of them are valid, but a lot of them, it's just personality issues. What ends up happening is the staff hold it against you. Mm-hmm. They say it's a clean slate when you come in. There was an incident where staff was trying to make a young adult be accountable for his father.
I remember that.
And they kicked the guy out because he said, you're breaking client code of thing, the client confidentiality by talking to me about the issues with him. And you're expecting me, a 21-year-old kid, to look after my 42-year-old father. He said, I have a 1-year-old child of my own. I have enough on my plate. I'm homeless, trying to deal with that. And they were kicking him out for it.
Yeah, it just seems that there's a lot of arbitrary instances where people are kicked out or restricted or what have you without any clear boundaries or stipulations.
And it's never the same from employee to employee as to whether you'll be kicked out.
Yeah.
The second time I got kicked out was because they had separated the two of us, and I went to the office, and after they said I couldn't speak to him, I said, you better tell him he come down to the room and deal with his dog, or I'm going to kill him. I admit, I'd had about 200 mil of whiskey at that point in my system, and I'd gone to bed. I went to sleep. They woke me up, took me out to the sidewalk, said that I threatened to kill him, and that I was drunk in public, so nailed me for public intoxication.
After pulling you out of bed.
After
After
waking me
waking
up
you
and
up.
taking me outside.
Do you think that Cobourg has a homelessness problem or a drug addiction problem? And I know the two often get conflated, but I think in order to adequately and appropriately deliver policy and services, we need to address them as two separate issues.
They are two separate issues.
They're two separate issues completely. Being homeless does not mean you're an addict. Being homeless does not mean you steal. Does not mean a lot of things. Many aren't.
Yeah.
Many are in recovery, but if you go to the street being homeless with no issues, you'll leave the street with issues. No doubt in my mind. And the way they handle it isn't right.
And putting everyone together is also, as you were saying, just simply not working.
It's definitely not. It doesn't. And the very fact... Yeah, it does.
It definitely creates more problems because those who haven't used and don't really want to are forced to mingle with those that are using, and then the stress just gets too much and they just say, well, screw it, and they start hitting. And then it causes more addictions than it does solve any.
We have a web of homelessness that you get stuck in. No matter what you do to get out of it, you're stuck. That needs to be changed to a web of support.
Well, and it sounds like, you always hear these buzzwords like the wraparound services, but if services are only being offered, 9 to 5 on one consolidated day, then that doesn't really seem wraparound to me.
And it's not even 9 to 5. They have the legal center come in for an hour. They have help center come in for an hour. They have that same day Serenity group. The Hope and Light comes in for lunch, as well as everyone's racing in the building trying to get lunches elsewhere as well to extend their food. And you have no time to do the search, and no one's willing to help you. They say, it's your search, you need to do it. Well, when you're basically just trying to survive,
Right.
you have no time. The only thing that gets checked is your pockets as you go through the door. They would have been better use of money for security to put in metal detectors at the doors. That way nothing that comes through. They pick up knives, there's guns, there's you name it. And you never know who has it because they're good at hiding them. But, just based on seeing out around and that, who's got what, and you just don't want to say anything because that just puts you at greater risk. And even the fact that I've said this on TV will have upset people.
Okay, but let's talk allegations because these are serious. Guns and weapons inside the shelter, drug use in the bathrooms, limited services only offered once a week at the same time, clients arbitrarily kicked out. So I reached out to Transition House demanding answers. How do they respond to this mess? Well, it's crickets so far, kind of like how they kept refusing to comment after the scathing town hall last week. This is about truth. It's about accountability and real solutions, not quick Band-Aid fixes. So stay tuned as I continue to follow this unfolding. For Rebel News, I'm Tamara Ugolini. The crime, the chaos, the disorder that's been plaguing Canadian cities and streets all across the country is something that we have been reporting on exclusively at fixourcities.com. If you want to see our cities fixed and support our journalistic efforts, you can do so at fixourcities.com.